Someone bumps into you in a grocery store, hard. Their cart practically rams your ankle, and before you even register what happened, you hear yourself say it. Sorry. You didn't do anything. You were just standing there, and yet the word left your mouth faster than your own thought could catch up to it. If this has ever happened to you, I want you to sit with that for a second. Because it's not clumsiness. It's not politeness either, not really. It's something much older, much deeper, running quietly underneath your personality. And today, we're going to talk about it. Let's start with how normal this feels, because that's exactly the problem. You apologize when someone else is late, and you are just waiting. You apologize when you ask a question in a meeting, like you've inconvenienced the room just by wanting clarity. You apologize for crying, for having needs, for taking up space in a conversation, for asking a friend to repeat something because you didn't hear them. You apologize for existing in a way that might be slightly inconvenient to someone else. And here's the strange part. You're not weak for doing this. You're not overly sensitive. If anything, the people who do this the most are often the most perceptive people in the room. They're the ones who notice tension before anyone else does. They're the ones scanning the emotional temperature of a space, adjusting themselves before anyone even asks them to. That's not a flaw. That's a skill. It's just being used in the wrong direction. So, why does this matter? Why should we even care about a habit that seems so small, so harmless? Because sorry isn't just a word. It's a signal. Every time you say it for something that isn't your fault, you are quietly telling your nervous system and everyone around you that your presence needs justifying, that your existence is a potential problem that needs preemptive smoothing over. Say that enough times, in enough small moments, across enough years, and it stops being a sentence. It becomes an identity. Here's the psychology behind it, and I promise this will make sense the moment I say it. For many people who over-apologize, sorry isn't really about guilt. It's about safety. Somewhere along the way, maybe in childhood, maybe in a past relationship, maybe in a work environment where mistakes were met with anger instead of understanding, you learned that conflict was dangerous. Not necessarily someone will hurt me dangerous. Sometimes it's quieter than that. Sometimes it's someone will be disappointed in me dangerous. Or someone will withdraw their warmth from me dangerous. And when a child, or even an adult, learns that other people's emotional reactions are unpredictable, the brain doesn't wait around to find out who's at fault. It jumps straight to damage control. Sorry becomes a peace offering, issued before the fight even starts. It's not weakness. It's a nervous system doing what it learned to do, to keep you safe. Take responsibility first, so no one else has to get upset. Real quick, before we go on, if that explanation just made something click for you, that's exactly what this channel is for. Hit subscribe if you want more of these. Now let's see what this actually looks like in real life, because psychology only means something when you can see yourself in it. Think about the person who apologizes to a waiter for sending back the wrong order, an order the waiter got wrong. Think about the employee who says, "Sorry to bother you," before asking their boss a completely reasonable question about their own job. Think about the partner who says, "Sorry, I know I'm being dramatic," the moment they express a genuine, valid feeling. None of these people did anything wrong, but in each case, There's a quiet fear running underneath. If I don't soften this moment first, something bad might happen. Someone might get upset with me. Someone might pull away. So the apology isn't for the action. It's for the anticipated reaction. And here's where it gets a little heavier, a little more emotional, because I think this is the part that actually needs to be said out loud. If you grew up in a home where love felt conditional, where affection came and went depending on someone else's mood, you probably learned to read rooms before you learned to read books. You became an expert at noticing tension, tone shifts, silences that lasted a second too long. And your solution, the only one available to a child with no other tools, was to make yourself smaller, easier, less likely to cause a ripple. Sorry was armor. It still is. It's not that you think you're always wrong. It's that some part of you still believes it's your job to prevent other people's discomfort, even when you had nothing to do with causing it. That's not a personality trait. That's a survival strategy, wearing the costume of politeness. Now, here's what most people get wrong when they try to fix this. They think the solution is to just stop saying sorry, cold turkey, bite your tongue, force the word back down. But that doesn't work, because the apology was never really the problem. The apology is just the symptom. The real issue is the belief underneath it, the belief that other people's emotions are your responsibility to manage. You can delete the word sorry from your vocabulary completely and still carry that belief around every single day, just expressed differently. Through over-explaining, through shrinking your opinions, through saying it's fine when it isn't. So the goal was never to stop apologizing. The goal is to stop feeling responsible for things you didn't cause. Here's the gentler shift, the one that actually creates change instead of just suppressing a habit. Next time you feel the word rising in your throat for something that isn't your fault, try pausing, just for a breath, and asking yourself one quiet question. What am I actually feeling right now? Because often, it's not guilt. It's discomfort. It's the tension of being near someone else's inconvenience or awkwardness or bad mood and not knowing what to do with that feeling except absorb it. And once you can name that, I'm not sorry. I'm just uncomfortable. Something shifts. You can sit in discomfort without converting it into self-blame. You can let a moment be awkward without volunteering to carry it. That's not coldness. That's boundaries with a heartbeat. And maybe that's the real realization here. You don't need to apologize less because you're trying to be more confident or more assertive or more girl boss about your emotions. You need to apologize less because you deserve to take up space without paying an entry fee for it. Your presence is not an inconvenience that requires a constant stream of preemptive apologies to justify. You are allowed to exist in a room without smoothing yourself into invisibility first. So the next time you catch that word slipping out for someone else's mistake, someone else's mood, someone else's bad timing, pause for just a second. Not to judge yourself for saying it, just to notice it. Because that pause, small as it is, might be the first moment in a long time where you get to choose instead of react. And that choice, that's where the real change begins. If today brought you clarity, our conversation isn't over yet. Click the video on your screen right now and let's keep healing together.